students. Today's topic is law of diminishing marginal utility. This is a topic related to the utility analysis in which we can say that utility can be of three types. We can work on this. This can be described as initial utility, marginal utility, and total utility. Initial utility relates with the consumption of a commodity by a consumer at a point of time, whereas marginal utility goes on diminishing. Whenever a consumer consumes any commodity, then the satisfaction he derives is called utility. This can be decreases, zero, and sometimes negative, and the total utility is the sum total of utility which the consumer gets. Initially, we can say that utility is the want satisfying power of the commodity. Whenever a commodity is consumed, the total satisfaction which a consumer gets is called utility. And afterwards, if we shall work on the law of diminishing marginal utility, which I'll work on this, like this is a topic which is called law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay. This relates to the consumer, as whenever a consumer consumes any commodity, he gets a satisfaction. And law of diminishing marginal utility states that whenever a single commodity exists and whenever a consumer consumes the units of that commodity, he gets a satisfaction which decreases, zero, and sometimes negative even. For example, we can quote as the law of diminishing marginal utility with the help of a table and a diagram as well. But firstly, initially we shall work on a table. This is units of apple. For example, single commodity exists with a no close substitute. As the Marshallian analysis of law of diminishing marginal utility states that there is only single commodity and its units are consumed, then we can say when the units of apple are consumed, then marginal utility which the consumer gets is called, it will be like this. When the first unit of apple is consumed, the total marginal utility is, for example, 8. When second unit is consumed, marginal utility goes on diminishing as 6. And afterwards, when the third unit is consumed, marginal utility is 4. On the fourth unit, it is 2. Whereas on the fifth unit, it becomes 0. And on the consumption of the sixth unit of apple, whenever the consumer is hungry and he wants to eat the apple, the units of apple, then this is -2. So marginal utility goes on diminishing with the consumption of any commodity. It can be derived by a diagram as well. Like we can work on this with the help of a diagram. Just hold on. Let's see the diagram. This is a marginal utility and we are working on the diagram. This is the diagram which marginal utility goes on diminishing, we can work like this. It will be 2, 4, 6 and 8. 8, 6, 2 and 2. And it is MU or marginal utility. And here on the x-axis we are taking units of apple. Whenever a consumer consumes first unit of apple, he gets the maximum satisfaction. This is like on the first unit of apple, he gets the satisfaction. But on the consumption of the second unit of apple, his consumption level goes on 6. And then afterwards on the third apple, his level of satisfaction becomes 4. Whereas on the fourth unit of apple, whenever he is consuming, his level of satisfaction is only 2. On the fifth unit, his total satisfaction becomes fully satisfied or fully occupied, and he is getting 0 level of satisfaction. Whereas if he is consuming the 6th unit even, then he gets the negative utility. It can be derived as marginal utility is decreasing. It is 0. On this point it is 0, whereas he is having negative marginal utility while the consumption of 6 unit. How it is happening? This is because of total utility, which the consumer is collecting the various units of marginal utility is getting the total utility. Total utility is the sum total of total utilities which the consumer gets while consuming any commodity or single commodity. And as the utility can be cardinally measured, Marshall has described that utility is the one satisfying power of the commodity, and the utility can be cardinally measured, and afterwards we can work out on total utility. This is on the first consumption of apple, total utility becomes 8, and on the second unit of apple it becomes 14. Afterwards on the third unit of apple it becomes 18, whereas on the fourth unit of apple he is getting the total satisfaction which is 20, and on the fifth unit again it is 20, whereas on the sixth unit and its consumption it becomes 18 only. So we can work out this with the on this hold on, see this generating a table in which various types of utilities are shown. For better understanding, you can create this on your notebook even if you want to get the exact or get the best results. Then afterwards there is also a concept in which the combination of marginal utility and total utility are combined together. We can work on this. I am just making one more diagram. As for this diagram, I am shifting my scenario on here. This is the diagram of total utility and marginal utility as a combined diagram. We can say these are the units of apple and the marginal utility. This is T or total utility, whereas it is marginal utility. We can easily derive a diagram like this. When the total utility is becoming maximum, then the marginal utility becomes minimum. Well, and it is becoming the stages. There are particularly 3 stages which are coming. This is the first stage in which when the total utility increases, when the marginal utility is decreasing, see this, when the marginal utility is decreasing, as in the previous diagram we had done that, When the marginal utility is decreasing, the total utility is maximizing. See the table. When the marginal utility is decreasing, it is 8, 6, 4, 2, and afterwards it becomes 0. When the total utility increases and it becomes maximum. On this point, this is the first stage which shows when marginal utility is, this is stage 1 which shows, hold on, I am generating this as a first stage. It's showing first stage when marginal utility decreases, total utility increases. We can write down when the marginal utility decreases, total utility increases. As the marginal utility decreases, total utility increases. And this is point which is showing A to B. It shows when the marginal utility is 0 and it is the second stage, which can be this. When marginal utility equals to 0, then total utility is maximum. When the marginal utility is 0, total utility is maximum. And on the third stage, it is second stage and it is third stage. Third stage explains marginal utility becomes negative, whereas total utility is decreasing. I am repeating it again. If you recall, when the marginal utility decreases, total utility is increasing. And on the second stage, where the marginal utility is 0, total utility is maximum. Whereas on the third stage, where the marginal utility is negative, when the total utility starts diminishing or decreasing. And this is a concept which is called law of diminishing marginal utility, given by Marshall in the case of single commodity and its units are consumed. Hopefully this will be the useful video for people. Thank you very much.